Good morning to you. You. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Good morning. Won't you share with a friend or two? Good morning. Good morning to you. You. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. You. Good morning. Good morning to you and many more. All right, let's go ahead and adjust our security here. All right, let's go ahead and adjust our security here. All right. Well, good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome, welcome, welcome to Daring Dialogues. I'm your host today, Shantae Charles. I want to let you all know that this is going to be our last week before we go on break for the season. The season will pick back up in January. It will be after the first. And I will make sure that I give you all notice of when we return. But this is going to be our last week for this year, and then we will see you all at the top of the new year. It has been a fabulous, wonderful time. We've had lots and lots of important conversations, I feel like. And today is episode 65. Now we typically do 100 episodes per season. So we're going to finish up about two-thirds of the way. And then we'll be coming back in the top of the new year. But this is our last week for this year of Daring Dialogues. I want to make that clear. And also, if you have been enjoying our talks, you can always go to our playlist and you can catch up on our previous seasons where we've done other books, we've had guests on, and you can catch up on what makes us Daring Dialogues and what makes this particular broadcast different from some of the other broadcasts that you might be watching or listening to. Today is Monday Motivation, and we are not going to be long today. I just want to read you a devotional, talk about a few things along the lines of social media and social interaction as we go into the holidays. But let me start with our motivating words for today. This is coming from Dennis Kimbrough's book, Daily Motivations for African American Success, including inspirations from famous African American achievers. And today's post is Act on It. The secret of getting things done is to act. Benjamin O. David, first African American to command a U.S. Army Air Force base. And it reads, a familiar song tells us to whistle a happy tune so no one will know we're afraid. Unlikely as it may seem, there's a lot of truth to that. Acting the way we would like to feel really does help us feel that way. In a university experiment, psychological researchers asked student volunteers to make 6 different facial expressions. The 6 emotions were to be expressed were fear, surprise, disgust, sadness, anger, and happiness. The findings were surprising. When the volunteers looked afraid, their bodies reacted as if they really were afraid. Their heart rate sped up and their skin temperatures dropped. For the most part, appropriate physical reactions also occurred when other emotions were portrayed. Act as if is an important coping technique in many self help programs. If you are fearful, act as if you are the bravest person you know. If you're having a down day, act as if it is your job to cheer everybody else up. The point, of course, is not to fool yourself about how you really feel. Acting successful is a prerequisite to success. Thought for the day: I can accelerate my positive results by acting out what I want my objectives to be. The next one I want to share with you is one that you won't hear tomorrow because we will be on Black Table Talk and we'll be talking about some other things. So I said, let me share it today. You're in good hands. The tragedy of life doesn't lie in not reaching your goal. The tragedy lies in having no goal to reach. Benjamin E. Mays, educator. A fortune teller studied the hand of a young man and said, "You will be poor and very unhappy until you are 40 years old." The young man responded, "Well, after that, what will happen? Will I be rich and happy?" They said, "No, you'll still be poor, but you'll be used to it after that." Now, that's not something I would be taken away and believing for my life. I don't know about you. The writer says, "I receive numerous letters from people across the country who say they truly wish to be successful, but don't know how. They claim to have tried all sorts of programs and involved rules supposedly leading to success and prosperity. Having met and conversed with scores of achievers, I have found the only necessary requirement of achievement is to adhere to these five main steps." And let's look at what his five steps are. And let's see if you're doing any of them. All right. The first step is focus on what you desire most. Focus on what you desire most, your goals. Where are your goals taking you? Where are your desires taking you? Number two, develop a gratitude attitude, developing an attitude of thanks. Number three, he says, emulate someone you admire, but I say, um, glean from someone you admire and make sure you're gleaning the parts that are positive because there can be people that we admire, but they're not necessarily good in certain aspects of their life. And so I would say glean from the person that you admire. Find out where they are successful. And if you can, a lot of these people have biographies out. Read their biography. And then think about, did the path that they take to get what they have, is it a path that I'm not in conflict with morally? Because sometimes people's path to where they got to is it has been immoral. So in thinking about who you want to admire and who you want to follow, make sure that the path they took is something that agrees with and holds with your value system. Number four, recognize that strength grows out of struggle, i.e., perseverance. A lot of people do not know how to persevere. A lot of people don't know how to persist. What does it take to persevere? What does it take to persist? Sometimes it has to do with things like getting out of your comfort zone. Sometimes it has to do with getting up earlier than you normally would or going to sleep later than you normally would. Sometimes it might mean going out of your way to meet with someone. Sometimes it might mean putting in an application more than once. Sometimes it may mean going through a pre interview process before you get to the real interview. But all of those things, recognizing that strength grows out of struggle, perseverance. And I know a lot of people want to take the struggle out of everything, right? Because that's human nature. But if you think about it, there are some things that happen in struggle that are meant to develop you. I think about a butterfly coming out of a cocoon, or a caterpillar in a cocoon, and then coming out of that cocoon, they have to struggle. They have to push against the thing that they were encased in order to be able to have the wing strength to be able to fly. So sometimes we cannot avoid struggle. And so I look at it as a necessary struggle. Now, there are times when people are just struggling unnecessarily. We're not talking about that. But there are some things in our life that require us to push back, that require us to press on. All right. And so in some cases, you can't opt out of the struggle. Imagine if our ancestors had opted out of the struggle of getting free. Imagine if our elders in the civil rights movement had opted out of the struggle of facing the violent, angry actions and vitriol of people who did not want them to have equal rights. Somebody should probably type that for your day. I cannot opt out of some struggle. I need to participate in the struggle that makes me strong. Not the struggle that just wears me out, but the struggle that is purposeful. There are some struggles in our life that are purposeful. Those are the ones that we want to deal with. We don't want to deal in unpurposeful struggle. And the last one here, dedicate yourself to lifelong learning, which is what we endeavor to do on this podcast as we meet daily on the weekdays here. But dedicate yourself to lifelong learning or study. And good morning to those of you who are coming in. Herein lies your answer. Only you know whether you adhere to these principles. It is you and you alone who can predict with startling accuracy whether you will reach your goals. The person who makes up his or her mind to reach some grand ideal must follow many steps, but none are more important than these tried and true keys. So, think about it today. Set aside time to apply these 5 keys in every area of your life. Good morning. And I'll go over those 5 keys one more time. The writer says, I found the necessary requirement for achievement is to adhere to these steps. 1, focus on what you desire most for your goals. 2, develop a gratitude attitude of thanks. 3, um, follow or be guided by someone that you admire. Look, in other words, look at the people that you admire and where they are successful. 4, recognize that strength grows out of struggle or perseverance. And we talked about how there is purposeful struggle. And then dedicating yourself to lifelong learning and study. Um, and speaking of lifelong learning and study, I have found that there are a lot of people who are using social media to either argue where there is no argument to be had, or they're using social media to demand that other people do their work for them, or other people do their homework for them, or other people do their research for them. And it's a really bad habit that is increasingly, it's growing and growing. And I am one of those people where I love to teach. I'm a teacher by profession. I'm a teacher by nature. Um, I've been in the education field for 24 years. I train teachers on a regular basis. I create and help write curriculum. So I know what it is to research. I know what it is to search things out. I know what it is to organize something. I know what it is to put something together so that other people can learn and grow and be edified by those things. But guess what? I get paid to do that. I don't get paid to go back and forth with people on the internet. And I certainly don't get paid for people to tell me that I don't know what I'm talking about when I, in fact, do know what I'm talking about. And so I see that a lot. And I was sharing with someone yesterday. They said it is really, really hard for them to um, refrain from from getting on the keyboard and responding. And I said, you know what? If you are a teacher or if you are someone who innately enjoys helping people learn, it can be hard. It can be hard to not get into the weeds, into the comments, and go back and forth with people. But you got to do it. You got to do it. Because the reality is, we have to preserve our energy for places and people that want it and need it. And sometimes that's definitely not in the comment section on social media. Sometimes people are just ranting and ranting um, because they can. And sometimes that can be people's only outlet to be heard is to get online and to rant in people's comment sections. So you got to read the room and you got to ask yourself, is this something I need to be answering? Is this something I need to be responding to? Now, if they come on my page in my personal space and they're doing that, I'll respond the first time and say, hey, we're not doing that here. Or you can Google this information. But I will hide their comment because I don't want anybody else to be looped into answering for them. The same phone in which people use to get online, to YouTube, to get on TikTok is the exact same phone where they can type google.com in the search bar and they can get to searching. They really can. So I want to encourage you this week to try to stay out of the weeds on social media. I've had a couple of people reach out and say, hey, you know, I did that one time and then I got a ban from my social media platform. They put me in timeout. I said, yeah, because some of these people are rage baiting. And if you have not heard that term, rage baiting has to do with the content that people are creating that they know is going to cause controversy and make people angry. So there are people who are out here getting online, getting on video, doing outrageous takes and causing controversy. And they know it's an outrageous take, but they're doing it on purpose. That's called rage baiting. And of course, they're doing it when it comes to things about Black people and Black life because they know they're going to get views, they're going to get clicks. That's going to drive their numbers in their on their social media page. And some of these people are making good money, rage baiting. Um, so you just got to recognize when that is happening and don't take the bait. Scroll by. I know it can be difficult. I know you want to fly in there and give them a piece of your mind because how dare they? But you got to recognize rage bait when you see it. There's quite a bit out there, and I can imagine it's going to ramp up between now and January 20th. All right. So that's just a little insight on what is happening online. Some of you may not have realized that that's what's going on, but that is what is going on. All right. That's what I wanted to share with you all today. This has been another episode of Daring Dialogues, and I've been your host today, Shantae Charles. I do want to thank you for your time and attention. If you are on Instagram, you can hang tight because we're going to have our talk back in just a minute. If you are on YouTube, we're going to be signing out, and you can join us for the talk back on Instagram. Remember, light is the most daring opposition to darkness, so continue to be light and be well. Until tomorrow.